I think that Null Rod aggro shops might just be the perfect deck for the current metagame. I'm going to run it through a prelim versus the best players on the platform. See you in round one. Okay, welcome back, Vintage Gamers. Prelim time. I have seen some rumblings across the internet about Null Rod aggro shops, and it is actually one of the decks that I chose to be my recommended deck from last weekend. And lo and behold, Saturday Vintage Challenge runs around aggro shops with a 65% win rate and a deck in the top 8. So I wanted to give it a try. Basically, I think the format is very, very susceptible to Null Rod at the moment, along with Wasteland. Wasteland Null Rod combo, very, very strong. There was a video on Andy Montolio's channel about Null Rod aggro shops. I took that list, I made some tweaks. Andy chooses not to run things like Black Lotus, Soul Ring, and Mana Crypt, and I understand why. There are obvious downsides to running these cards in this style of deck with 4 Null Rods. However, I think you just want the cards in your deck to give you your powerful starts. I'm willing to take some amount of variability in the usage of these 3 slots to enable me to have more powerful turn ones. I'm all about playing powerful turn ones. So, we are going to play the similar list, just no Traxos, no Stonecoil Serpent, and I added some more fast mana back into the deck. I changed the sideboard just a little slightly. But yeah, this is going to be some kind of, you might call it a hybrid aggro shops deck. It is still a Golos deck, but we are pretty all in on the aggro with Foundry Inspector, Nettle Cyst, Patchwork Automaton, and the Revoker. The prison and aggro variants of Workshop are kind of blending together at this point. Even the prison element decks that play like the Crucibles in the main and Ghost Quarters and stuff, even those decks are still playing Nettle Cyst just because Nettle Cyst is so powerful. So it's kind of, these decks are a little bit blending at the moment anyways. I definitely like the aggro variant because it puts a clock on your opponent and makes them answer your questions. And I do definitely like Patchwork Automaton. This card is so sweet against the removal that people are choosing to play right now to combat mono white is not typically very good against Patchwork Automaton, which is really, really sweet. But yeah, it's a Urza's Saga Wasteland metagame, and Null Rod is a great haymaker over the top to really ruin people's Beseech and Tinker strategies. And then, of course, the power of Mishra's Workshop to power out threats ahead of curve is unmatched. So, should be a pretty fun prelim. I'll see you for round 1. Are you interested in weekly vintage metagame recommendations? Do you want to see your deck list played on my channel? Or maybe you are just looking for the best way to support my vintage content. Make sure you check out the Patreon link in the description below. Let's battle. Okay, welcome to round 1. We've got the powerful wizard across the table. The old electronic table, I guess, apparently. We're playing against Andy. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel yet, you should do that. I've got a stellar hand. So I'm playing Null Rod shops, and I know that some lists cut Lotus and Mana Crypt, but I don't do that. That is not something I do. I mean, we're keeping. I'm just trying to figure out how we're gonna play this out. Ooh. Ooh. I had to message a lot of people to get this thing to fire, but we got there, so. I mean, some lists, including the list from Montolio, did not include Black Lotus, Soul Ring, and Mana Crypt in their 4 Null Rod aggro shop deck. Personally, I would rather just like take the bad draws and have higher power front facing draws. So that's how I play Magic. But one of the weird things here is we probably just go Lotus Tomb Golos for a Saga. Yeah, I mean, it's a conscious decision that has reasonable thought in it. Like, I don't think it's unreasonable why he chose to do that. I just personally wouldn't make that choice. I'm gonna talk about it in the intro that I definitely haven't filmed yet. We could just go Automaton. We obviously could. We could go Tomb, Automaton, Emerald, Lotus. But the problem is if we no rod on this turn, we can't play our Golos, right? So I'm pretty sure I would rather just go Lotus, Tomb, Golos, and then on the next turn we can go Automaton, Emerald, Needle, or if we draw another, or we can just go Automaton, No Rot. Like, I understand why you would be tempted to go Patchwork, Emerald, Lotus, Needle, No Rod, make a large dude. I just don't think it's better. Yeah, I just don't think it's better. And you're blind naming Needle. Like, what if my opponent ends up on Bazaar? I just don't think your line is better. It's a fine, it's an okay line. I'm not like saying it's a bad line, but I think this line's better. I mean, Andy is a player who's very competent Bazaar player. Can play anything really. Saga Gaming, Soul Ring. I mean, we're coming out super far ahead if that's their play, right? I mean, it's fine. We just don't cast the Automaton and we play with what we have. Like, I think Automaton is, oh my, they're so dead. I think Automaton, like, is a good enough card. Yeah, I'm just gonna go No Rod Saga token, and like they have to make a construct here, they're going to have an Ancient Tomb in hand. I don't even think like you're supposed to wasteland here. I think I'd rather make a construct. Pretty sure this is like super winning in almost every circumstance. Like I guess they could theoretically still be on a 4 stack and they could go like force into Lotus Beseech or something. But I mean we have to, oh, they are a 4 stack. Okay. Force pitching Emery. So they're playing 8 cast? I'm sorry for their loss. It's exciting. But they're gonna get like 1/2/2 construct token here, then we'll waste and make a saga token. Unless they have like island time walk, maybe. Urkel's is not a castable card through Null Rod Slasher. I don't know if you've ever played Magic before, but I would take the Null Rod side of this matchup 100 times out of 100. Is there anything worthwhile that we can search for here? Not really, right? What will I name with this needle? Probably second saga name, maybe. I'm gonna wasteland them either way so they don't get an artifact. I don't think like naming Emery is really good. Just gonna name Urza Saga. I don't think we need any Urza Sagas to win this game. Well, I guess we could just name Time Vault, or we could just name Manifold Key. I feel like that cuts off a lot of possible ways to lose. Yeah, I kind of like that name as well. The Saga's going to be too slow. The Emery's going to be too slow. The only way we really lose this is like a crazy Tinker or a mana or like something similar. So, I mean, if he Voltaic keys me, that's fine. I'll take the L on that one. I don't think there was a Voltaic key in that list when I looked at it, but Copy, no. All right. My opponent mulligan had to force a null rod and couldn't keep up with the Black Lotus hand. Yeah, so my opponent is on Manifold Key. I'll show you the list when we go to sideboarding here. So this is an 8-cast list that Montolio played when? It's a 5-0 league match. Okay. So we have Karn, 3 Emery, 2 Urza, 4 Thought, Monitor, 1 Fluster, 1 Misstep, 3 Opal, just 4 Bobble, Lantern Needle, Volt, Citadel. Looks like a pretty stock list. 3 Hercles in the board. That's our main concern here. They also might bring in Repeal for that'll hit our Saga tokens. And maybe Mindbreak Trap, Dismember. Okay. Pretty standard looking list. Did you say 4? Was there 4 islands? Oh, 4 islands. That's good. That's pretty smart. 4 islands will help them cast their Hercules Recall. Because it's not really castable in the normal 8-cast list that play like 2 islands. 4 islands is smart for sure. I think I'd like access to Mindbreak Trap on the draw, but I'm not really sure how I would do such a thing. I guess Trinisphere on the draw maybe is worse. And well, these serpents look terrible, right? They're pretty bad. So maybe I'll keep Trinisphere and just bring 2 traps. And then I'm going to keep a needle in because you really want to play a needle for... Well, I want this Caracas too. You really want a needle for Saga Mirrors. I think on the draw, I might take out the Mana Crypt. Seems reasonable to me. Definitely want this Caracas for Emery and Urza. I don't think I want Dismember, though. This looks fine. I'm not 100% sure that Mindbreak Traps are, like, amazing here, but they seem okay. This hand has Wasteland, Saga, Moxen, Golos, Revoker. Yeah, looks fine. Keep. This covers a lot of bases, but if they just have like a powerful enough start, we're not going to be able to keep up. It's fine. That's kind of the downside of just playing shops is on the draw, you give up pretty much all your agency. Does this hand do anything? Yeah, it has a Wasteland, a Revoker, a Saga. I just said that. Like, what are you looking for that you don't want to play this hand? I don't understand. Like, none of my hands are going to beat like a power draw from them anyways. So you should be looking to beat like an Emery draw or something, like a Saga draw or an Emery draw. Like I'm never beating this hand with any draw, so it doesn't actually matter. Like I don't want to mulligan hard to a draw like that if it's not going to matter, right? Like a null rod is not going to save me from whatever is just whatever's happening to me. My best bet is to like be able to like match a one or 2 threat game and then power through. So like I have a Revoker for Emery, I have a Wasteland for Urza Saga, and I just have to beat what they play, and it's not actually unbeatable, right? Am I way off base? You can tell me. But like my opponent has played Emery and Saga, and I have Emery and Saga beat in my hand. I mean, we're still losing, but I have like their main game plans, you know, at least locked up. I didn't look at this hand and think like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to Wasteland first, because if they I guess as long as I do this main phase, it's fine. Because if they were to Hercules me, then I would still. I mean, I guess I could still get Hercules by Construct token anyways. I can still they could still end of turn Hercules me with Construct and Opal, so it doesn't actually matter. All right, so like I got rid of their Saga. I have their Emery locked down. My opponent does have a huge Construct, and they're 1 mana short of spinning a Saga, an Urza. But like in general, I think this worked out pretty well for me. If my opponent doesn't have like a cohesive second plan here, I have Saga Nettlecyst, which stabilizes the board, and then I start to win. Yeah, I never looked at that hand and thought this isn't good enough. So I think, Slasher, you have like a really poor outlook on workshops, and it kind of affects your decision making or surrounding it. Was it going to be an end of turn Hercules? It's definitely worthwhile for them to do it because they want to activate their Emery here and play a Thought Monitor. Okay, sweet. That's a great starting hand for my opponent. Black Lotus, Mana Crypt, Opal, Urza, Emery, Hercules. It's like very hard to beat. But here they get to go Emery, replay Thought Monitor. And we're very far behind now. Like I said, like there are hands, like I'm just simply never going to beat this hand, right? But if my opponent's last card is a land and not Hercules, do you not think I'm in a pretty reasonable position in this game? 1, 2, 3. So this is 7, 4. They have enough to cast Thought Monitor using the construct, which they should definitely do. If they like drew Citadel, I guess you could like bring back Lotus and play that. But I mean, Thought Monitor was a really strong hit off of Emery. If my opponent didn't hit the Thought Monitor off of Emery, this wouldn't even really do very much. So like I put this draw in the top. It's probably not the top like 10% of draws because it doesn't have a Tinker, right? But like it's probably in the top like 5% of non-Tinker draws or something. I don't know how many like draws Tinker makes up of the top percentage. All right, so we have an island. We have a Thought Monitor coming. Refills my opponent's hand. That's what I'm saying. Like a Tinker draw kills me, right? But like of the draws that don't kill me on turn 1, this is like pretty close to the best, right? And I think we actually like I said, I'm pretty I'm pretty sure we had it matched up pretty well minus like the Hercules recall. So I'm not upset with the way I kept this hand. I think this hand actually was pretty good. Yeah, even if we were to like draw Null Rod this turn and go Revoker or Emery playing Null Rod, I mean, we're still losing, right? Like pretty badly. No, I think we're not in trouble now. I think we're just straight up dead now. Like, there's a reason I boarded in the Mindbreak traps, and it's because I wanted to hit like the Urza or the Emery off of my Mindbreak trap. I didn't have a Mindbreak trap in my hand. I could mulligan harder for a Mindbreak trap, but I don't think all of Acast's starting hands look like this. It's just a good hand. Gonna concede though. I don't really feel the need to play this out anymore though. So I'm gonna play. We're gonna bring this Chalice in. We're gonna take these Mindbreak traps out, and I'm gonna bring in the Mana Crypt. And then I think I actually might bring in Dismember. I kind of thought it was bad, but I'm coming back around on that. Maybe it's fine. So maybe I will take the Mana Crypt out and the Needle out on the play. Yeah, this should be fine. It's not coming back. Slasher just likes the deck, and Andy decided to play it. Like, Acast gets a very large helping of, like, discourse in the Discord because Slasher just likes it. So, like, if you put a loud person in the Discord, there's not that many people in the Discord who are typing. They're going to get, you know, a pretty large portion of the audience. And so it has, like, an abnormal amount of talking about it for, like, how much is played, which is basically 0%. Yes and no. It's fine. It's not good, but it's still like it's still Lodestone Golem. I don't think it's like so bad that you're gonna take it out. Like, if you consider their best spell to be Hurkyl's Recall, Lodestone is still taxing Hurkyl's Recall. And I would consider Hurkyl's Recall to be in their top, like, 3 spells, right? It's probably Tinker, Ancestral, Hurkyl's Recall. And Tinker's not even that good in their deck, so maybe it's, like, Ancestral, Hurkyl's Recall, Tinker? I mean, Urza's definitely good because how bad they are against Null Rod. That's a fair point. That's definitely contextual, though. I mean, if they start like casting multiple thought monitors, we just can't win. So it's like not really worth worrying about that kind of situation, anyways. This hand does not have any mana in it, so it's a mulligan. Too bad though. No Rod Trinisphere. If this hand simply had a workshop in it, it would be extremely, extremely good. Okay. This hand has Workshop Sphere, Wasteland Dismember. I mean, unfortunately, this hand is like not amazing, but I don't think we're gonna go lower than this. It's just a very mediocre hand, but we go Workshop Sphere. Maybe you do mulligan this. It's just not strong. These are the kind of hands where I hate playing Golos in the deck. I might mulligan this hand. I'm really looking for a Null Rod draw. I mean, I have Emery and Urza answered. I have a Sphere. I have a Saga. Like, it's not bad. It's just not like am I putting this Golos away? I have to be, right? I'm never casting it. So I'm just like hoping that Saga into Wasteland is good enough. I mean, they have 4 islands in their deck. I don't know. I feel like this hand you could mulligan. I mean, we have good draws to go with it, but I'm pretty close to mulliganing this hand. This hand's great. Hashtag, how can you always be the opposite of everything I say? This hand is not great. I vehemently disagree. All right, so that got forced. It's very bad for us. But they only have 4 cards in hand, so maybe it's not Island Ancestral. My opponent just skipped through their turn. I like let them pause in their upkeep just in case they were. I don't know what just happened, but all right, so I can't play Saga if I want to activate it. So I guess I will just play Null Rod Wasteland. No, I think Golos going to the bottom is correct. All right, so maybe they kept no lands like double force Ancestral maybe. I'm gonna play Wasteland first because I do want to make Saga tokens. All right, so they kept a very interesting hand. I don't think I would ever have the well. If you had 2 forces, I guess maybe I would be keeping a no lander against workshops is something. It has to be ancestral, I would think. Top. Okay. I still am not really convinced we're gonna win. Like if my opponent has maybe it's Tinker. Say they had like Soul Ring, Tinker, Force. I mean, you don't know what was in their hand slasher. You can't say you like their keep or not. We'll know when the YouTube video comes out. Yeah, I mean, a Null Rod is probably my best draw by a large amount. I don't know if that's like really a true statement. They exile Thought Monitor Emery. They hit a blue source. Assuming this is Ancestral, then they're going to pass to play around Mindbreak Trap. Am I going to play a second Wasteland? Does that matter? Does that help me? Yeah, it lets me play Dismember and activate Saga. They could also have Hercule's Recall here. It's kind of shitty that our deck doesn't really have anything we can get off of our Urza Saga. You lose out on a lot of the good part about the card. But I guess what would you really get in your Null Rod deck? So this is end of turn Ancestral. It has to be, right? If it's not, it's probably even worse for us because it probably means they're going to go like Tinker Citadel or Sphinx or something. I don't think we're winning this game. I think we're currently losing this game. But I'm also happy that I didn't like mulligan harder if my opponent was going to keep double force hand. Yeah, we're super dead. Yeah. We're very, very dead here. What did their list have for? Did they have a Sphinx post board? I didn't think I saw a Sphinx. Oh, there is a Sphinx. Okay, we're just gonna get Sphinx and we're gonna die, right? Because I took out Stonecoil Serpent. I mean, we just die. It's fine. Like, you play shops, you sign up for this. Like, sometimes the blue deck has the cards it needs, and sometimes you keep them from playing any spells for the whole game. Oh, they got Hercule's Recall. That must mean they have Tinker in their hand already, right? Yeah. So their hand was probably Soul Ring, Force, blue card, Tinker. It's kind of wild. So the problem with this for my opponent is if they go Sphinx and we draw Null Rod, they can lose this game. So we do have a way to win this game. It's just simply drawing Null Rod this turn means my opponent loses, I think. Nettle Cyst. So if I make a construct token and then I get a soul ring, I can play and equip Nettle Cyst. Make an attack with Dismember up. I don't want to equip my Nettle Cyst though. Well, I guess they're gonna they Hercules me. I get a new Nettle Cyst anyways. So Saga, Soul Ring, Nettle Cyst. Equip Nettle Cyst. This isn't winning though, is it? Oh, it's exactly winning. 9. They have to block because I have lethal, so we get a Dismember and we're winning. Thanks, Jarvis. Have a good night. Wow. Impressive. Could my opponent have just not tinkered this turn? And instead have just gone for the Hercules line? Like, you don't have to tinker this turn, right? Can't you just go end of turn Hercules? Oh, they hit the seat. So now they hit Hercules. So their last card in hand is going to reset this, but we'll replay a Nettle Cyst after. Oh, wait, I could have wastelanded them, right? No, I was tapped out. Could I have done it in a different time? Whatever. I fucked up. My bad. I was tapped out, right? They could have just done it on their turn anyway, so it didn't really matter. I think it's. I don't think. I think I'm stressing over nothing. Okay. All right. I have exactly lethal on the table, and my opponent's dead on board. I think if they made a mistake, they don't have to go for Sphinx. They can just go for a Hercules in combat, and then go for Sphinx. If I had used Dismember before combat, then they would just cast Hercules on their turn, so it didn't change anything. So I'm pretty surprised we won that game. I do think, man, I really want to see the game from Andy's point of view. I want to know what the starting hand was. But yeah, I think you just don't tinker there. And instead, you just go for Hercules in combat. And that gives you, deals with both of the constructs. I guess like it opens you up to getting null rotted, I guess is what the problem is with that line. So, I mean, there's pluses and minuses, but I mean, it won't be clear board, right? But it's closer. Did they not have Citadel? I would consider taking Citadel out on the draw. Yeah, it's definitely possible. But if you're a Hercules deck, I kind of like leaving Citadel in. So when I play PO against Workshops, I keep in Sphinx and Citadel because a lot of my ways to win are end of turn Hercules, untap, and combo kill. So like I personally would leave in Citadel, though 8-cast is not the best Citadel deck. I don't know if the same heuristic applies. But yeah. Oh, they had to tinker, or I could have gotten Cage off my Saga. Yeah, that would be true if I brought it in. I probably should bring in a Cage. Yeah, I should be bringing in a Cage. Okay, we've solved the mystery. Fuck. I was gonna talk about Cage and how I don't really think it's the way you win the game, so I don't usually bring it in. But we are a Saga deck, so maybe you should bring one in. That's, yeah. Okay, here we go, round 2. Another hand where I have a Mana Crypt, another card that is typically cut in this deck. Does it make my hand better? It does. Does it make my hand keepable? I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards mulliganing. Doesn't have a restrictive piece besides Needle, and I have to blind name Needle against a player who has fairly decent range. My best play is like, I mean, I do get to go turn 2 Golos and Wasteland, so it's not like it's not got nothing going for it. I could just hold the Needle. I could just go Ancient Tomb, Mana Crypt, play Inspector. It's just very weak. But if Wasteland's good, this hand's quite reasonable. What did I cut? I cut like a net. I cut like a Traxos and a Serpent or something. I don't remember. I'll go over it when I go over the intro, which I still haven't recorded yet. I just don't. All right, well, let's keep it for science. I kind of my gut instinct says mulligan this. I keep drawing the stupid needle, which is great if I'm playing against Bazaar and bad if I'm playing against anything else. All right, my opponent F6 through that turn. I don't know if that means we're playing a Shop's Mirror or if they just had no interaction and decided F6ing was the play. But if it's a Shop's Mirror and they don't play too much artifacts on turn 1, these Wastelands should be pretty incredible, as is a Saga with having access to Mana Crypt. In fact, I might even be able to go, if we are playing a Shop's Mirror, I can probably go Golos Caracas. Though I guess that exposes me to Wasteland a little too hard. If we draw, like, an additional threat of some kind, then there's... Okay, it is a Bazaar. Wow. Should I have just blind needled Bazaar? Interesting. Well, there's good news here. Hope we don't get griefed. That would be bad. I could definitely have blind needled Bazaar. It was something I considered doing. I don't usually have them on Bazaar, but like I said, they have quite a range. I guess I get to F6 here. Whoa! Whoa, 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 opponent. Hello. Excuse me. And I was hoping that we would be able to needle this. So one of the biggest problems with playing Bazaar Reanimator is that on turn 1, you can play a Bazaar Baghdad, but you very rarely can also reanimate. And the reason is because you don't have black mana. But if you just draw the jet, no problem. All right, so I need to top deck Caracas. Wait, no, is that my sideboard? Or did I put it in the main? Did I? Oh, wait, it's in my sideboard. My whole plan was to get a Caracas that wasn't even in my deck. Okay, I don't know if I can win this game then. Do I have any winning draws? I don't think so. Like if I play these cards, then I don't get to see more of their deck. I think I'm just gonna see if they're willing to show me more of their deck. They might just attack and do nothing. But if they show me more of their deck, I'll be happy. Citadel is interesting. I don't know if that means show and tell. Maybe show and tell post board. Traxa, that makes sense. Oh, please animate Atraxa. Yes. Unmask, reanimate. Man, we just needed a sphere. This hand, I should have just mulliganed, right? Should have just mulliganed. Okay. That's on me, I think. I think my plan failed. I should have just mulliganed. I'm gonna bring in Caracas, Cage, Needle, Lantern. I don't actually think I want Null Rod. Just a Chalice is fine. Stonecoil's good because of Atraxa. Not great because of Atraxa, but good because of Atraxa. And then maybe I just trim on this, like, well, I like the Golos because it finds Caracas. What do I trim on then? Revoker's still fine. It hits Grizzlebrand. Maybe I will just cut these Serpents, and if they resolve an Atraxa, it's fine. Something like that. Maybe I'll just cut a Foundry Inspector. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, so that's like the problem with keeping my hand, is that if my opponent plays something degenerate, I just have no recourse. All right, this hand doesn't have enough mana. This hand has a lot of hate cards, but I don't know if it's actually a good keep. Like I can go Wasteland Cage. Really, we're just like murdered by a show and tell. I mean, I have 3 pieces of Graveyard Hate. And a Wasteland. I'm gonna try it. I don't know if it's correct. I'm gonna play Wasteland Cage and then pass. My opponent doesn't seem to have forces because they're F6ing. Does that mean we're getting entombed here? That's a great draw. So I actually can Wasteland them now. That way, if they play Entomb, I can then Soul Guide Lantern them. I mean, maybe it's better to just... Oh, I kind of am punished now for putting away the Foundry Inspector, though, aren't I? I think I'm actually just going to play a Nettle Cyst. I should, if I kept my Foundry Inspector, I get to play like my whole hand instead. Maybe I should. I just felt like if I were to hit mana and like I would want to play a Sphere after all of this. Maybe that's like incorrect, but opponent's got a lot of mana. I hope they don't show and tell me. Mana again. Wow, I'm pretty lucky. What can I say? So I kind of think I am still supposed to play Sphere. I kind of, well, maybe I'm just supposed to Blind Needle Bazaar and then play out my Lantern, get max damage in. All right, I think I will just play. I think I'll play both. I think it's better to name Bazaar than something like Grizzlebrand. So like this actually shows like my whole idea of why I wanted to keep Sphere is like if I draw a mana source and get to play all my hate pieces out, and then I want to play a Sphere, like I'll play a creature that attacks and a Sphere and try to ride it through. Oh, they have infinite mana though, so is this Hollow One? Wow, cute. I don't think the Sphere actually stops my opponent from doing anything here, so I'd rather just make sure I can have the best chance of attacking for lethal. Swamp cycling. Okay, we got a brew on our hands. Next turn, I get to attack with the automaton as well. Basically, just hoping my opponent doesn't draw Hercules. Looks like they have full Moxen suite, so they could definitely draw Hercules. Typically, the decks that get to play Hercules Recall are the decks that play a bunch of Moxen and play some kind of combo. Whereas like controlling decks that don't really play full Moxen don't typically get to play it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're one short of playing Atraxa, right? So that currently doesn't stop me from winning, right? That is an Archon of Valor's Reach. players can't cast spells of the chosen type, so I won't be able to cast artifact spells, but I have lethal attackers and they have a mana vault, so mana crypt, I should say. So I just attack with this germ token. They block with both, or they chump. I guess I technically could equip. It's not good. Yeah, they're gonna. Oh, they're gonna block. Okay. This is totally fine. I think I'd rather just play another attacker out. I can equip next turn if I want, and we'll also see if they die from this mana crypt. They did die. They took a lot of mana crypt flips there. Yeah, this Archon hasn't been played in a very long time. I used to try to play it in like natural order decks. But it just doesn't it's not as pinpoint as it used to cover a pretty wide range of things. Like it was kind of hard to battle, but the decks are very diversified now in terms of their threat types. I have played it before in Vintage. All right, Chalice on the draw. Maybe I keep Chalice on the draw just because it's Chalice on 1, right? Chalice on 1 is like a little sus here, though. I don't think I keep in Chalice. I think I'm going to bring these Stone Coil Serpents in, though. I don't think Mindbreak Trap's actually good against them. They really shouldn't be playing multiple spells on turn 1, but they have a bunch of Moxen. Maybe we do play Mindbreak Trap anyways. I'm only... Oh, I was going to say only revoking Grizzlebrand, but they have a bunch of Moxen. Wonder if I'm supposed to have Tabernacle versus them. Doesn't actually look bad. Am I just taking a bunch of these Foundry Inspectors out? Am I stupid taking these Foundry Inspectors out? They would have been reasonable in that game. I don't know if this trap is actually good against my opponent's deck. It's kind of hard to tell. My opponent has hollow ones, but they have full Moxen. This Tabernacle is probably not good. We're playing against Reanimator, I guess. Why do I keep getting these hands where there's just not enough mana in them? I mean, the good news here is if they grief and unmask me, I still have multiple hits. It's probably a keep. This hand's pretty bad against like a hollow one draw though. But like Saga Cage is pretty reasonable, especially if they're like one grief hand or something. All right, grief. Read them and weep. They pitched unmask. Interesting. I thought about playing less than 3 cages, and I'm kind of glad I didn't play less than 3 cages now. There's a lot of Oath running around, so I thought 3 cages seemed reasonable. Doing okay. Kind of had a rough weekend, but we're pushing through. Almost time for paper vintage. Not this weekend, but the next weekend. Actually, it would have been this weekend too, but I have something else I gotta do this weekend. I was gonna do back-to-back Long Island. If you're in New York, there is a paper proxy vintage event this weekend. That will probably not help anyone watching on YouTube because this is going to air too late, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you if Boundary Inspector is instrumental to the deck. I don't mind it in the deck, but I've never felt like it was instrumental. Fundamental. I could be completely off base. I'm not a shops expert. I would definitely default to what Andy says. But like what I didn't know what I was taking out, and Boundary Inspector looked like the worst. My opponent is probably deep in the tank because they griefed me and saw 3 pieces of hate. Like Foundry Inspector is pretty important to having like some of your best starts, but like I don't think we need our best starts. I think we just need to cast turn 1 Cage. Could be wrong. I think Inspector is like worse on the draw too, right? All right, so they took one of my cages and then did what? Then reanimated a grief and took the other cage. Okay. Well, I do think that's bad for me. I'm just gonna Needle Bazaar. But I feel like this could have gone a lot worse, so. Ancestral F6? Bold. Ancestral F6 is very odd. Reball. I'm gonna get a Thorn down. My opponent has a 3-2 unblockable. My opponent doesn't draw another land, though. This Thorn's quite good against what they're doing. I really hope we draw a mana source next turn so I can go, like, Soul Ring off of this and play something. Drew a Mana Crypt. It's not ideal. And Swamp Cycle. Wow. Brutal. All right. Well, my Thorn did not really stop them. I feel very dead. Yeah. My opponent had quite a good draw. None of their creatures are crackable. I think I just have to get a Soul Ring and try to make constructs. I need to block this with 3 creatures and this with 2 creatures, which is not easy to do. They're at 7, though. If they're not careful, they might die on the swing back. Kind of a weird game. We don't have a Shadow Spear in our Null Rod deck now. I wish I did have a Shadow Spear in my board that could board in non-Null Rod matchups. Could be interesting. I've basically found that anytime I've ever played a Shops deck, I've wanted Shadow Spear. That card is nuts. That card does not see enough play in Vintage in my mind. So if my opponent attacks all here, I just am fine, right? I kill them. Skull Clamp doesn't see any play. It's just not very good. 1, it's an artifact. 2, it draws cards. 3, it requires you to kind of play bad cards in your deck to get it to work. It's just, it's kind of past the point in time where Skull Clamp is a playable card, unfortunately. So if my opponent attacks all here, I'm simply not blocking, right? I take 9, I go to 5. I make a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 construct, and they have to like play another grief, I guess. From their hand, they need to play it. They have to have another grief in their hand. Or I could just double block, lose my automaton, and I still probably have lethal, right? So I make a 5/5. I double block. Maybe they reanimate, but that puts them to 3 and they're dead to the crypt. All right. Well, actually, it might be fine just to double block here. Because I'm still putting a lethal construct on the table anyways. Yeah, this looks fine. It also buys me an extra turn too. Uh-huh. So they do have show and tell. Oh, they have Tinker. Tinker Portal? Okay, opponent, I see you. Through my Thorn of Amethyst, my opponent was able to Tinker. Not ideal. So if I Soul Guide their grief, sorry, if I Soul Guide my patchwork, and I Lantern their grief, I have a 5/5 and a 1/1. I'm still winning, right? Wait, what about just Cage? Creatures in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. That's even better, right? Like, stays in play. So I play a Cage. They can't bring anything back with their portal. I get to play a 1/1 Stonecoil Serpent. So I have a 6/6 and a 1/1. If they attack, I go to 2 and they die. I think that's just winning, right? So my block was very good. Just read this one more time. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under control. Play creatures in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. All right, I'm going to play a Grafdigger's Cage, and I'm going to play a 1/1 Stonecoil Serpent. And then I am passing to you. I'm at 8. You have a 6/5 that I can't block, but you're at 7, and I have 7 power in play. And if I play another creature, I'm bigger than your troll. Looks winning. Kind of wild. Just infinite cages in my deck. My opponent took double griefed my 2 cages out of my hand, and my Saga just finds my 3rd cage. I'm not 100% sure my opponent's on Hercules, to be honest. Of course, my opponent... They pitch cast Grief because they didn't have the mana to play Grief from hand. Oh, they have Time Walk as well, yeah. So they take my Stonecoil and pass, I guess. Interesting. If they had a singular extra mana, they could have hard cast the Grief. And then they would actually be winning. Well, this costs... So if I play my Ancient Tomb and play my Trinisphere, I go to lethal range, but my construct has to be blocked. I guess my things have to be blocked anyways, but then... I mean, I think I'm just supposed to play it, right? And make them block my construct token. If they have a removal spell, I lose. But I think that was always the case. Crazy. Absolutely wild game. That was just a wild game. I did not think I was going to win that at so many points. I I just don't understand. Like, crazy. Wow. Wow. Very cool. Very cool game. Okay, here we go. Round 3. We're up against Not Me. Probably playing Beanstalk deck at the 2-0 bracket. 2-0 bracket Beanstalk deck. You love to see it. This hand slaps. This hand slaps major. I get to cut them off a little bit with Sphere Resistance, wasteland them to oblivion. This hand's nice. My opponent is likely playing a Beanstalk control deck. We've been working on a couple versions in the Discord, which have been fun. I have to admit, it's been a good time. Nami also said they were sold on whales, so could be a different version than the one that I've been working on as well. Probably splashes white for Source of Plowshares. I'm interested to see how it turns out. Ethereal Forger. The only vintage whale in existence. Probably. Now I kind of want to check. Type whale. Search. There's only 13 type whales? Oh, that's a whale. Oh, I played that in vintage. I played the Stalking Shadow before. This one's played in modern, right? The Waker of Whales. A Waker of Waves, sorry. Yeah, this Ethereal Forger is a much stronger rate than most whales, I must say. Yeah, I mean, it's not as big as Murktide, but it does bring back Ancestral Recall. So, you know, a little here, a little there. All right, looks like I got on Not Me's bad side by waiting 2.5 minutes here. So we'll see when Not Me comes back. All right, they've returned. They've mulliganed to 5. All right. Workshop. Sphere Resistance. Sapphire. All right, what do you got for me? Beans? What is your on fetch? Basic Island? Basic Island. Sapphire. Good start. If I didn't have Strip Mine, I think I am going to Strip Mine anyways. Or do I want to just play Golos? I'm going to Strip Mine them. That's what they get for playing whatever this island is. Get off my screen. Oh, they don't have any more lands. I mark that as bad for the home team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'm going to play this land because it's better with my Saga. This way, I can go Saga Wasteland. Nami has chatted and said, you have become what you hate the most. Which is true. I did just strip mine his basic. I'm a Saga gamer strip mining basics. Like I have just evil. My opponent's gonna have to concede this to the power of Mishra's Workshop. What is this? Oh, Lauren revealed cycle. Very nice. Didn't want to expose the Tundra to Wasteland here. Do you have a 1-drop spell you can apply? No. Okay. Well, I'm going to Wasteland you. All right. Opponent is dead. The power of Mishra's Workshop compels you. All right. So my opponent is probably playing a controlling bean deck. Null Rod, not great. Chalice on 1 or 2. I guess we could chalice on 1. I think Crucible makes a lot of sense here. I kind of don't know how much they're going to use the graveyard. We could be bringing in Soul Guide Lantern. I don't think they have a legend unless they have Uro. Don't know. I just don't know what version they're playing right now. But we could bring in a Krakus anyways. Might be nice to have access to a needle. They're probably playing Mystic Sanctuary, so Soul Guide seems reasonable. I just don't know if Chalice on 1 is really good. But these seem like pretty good cards to take out for Null Rod. And then from there, the rest seems fine. Let's just take this and play like this. We just don't know enough about their deck, really. Yeah. Hand slaps. All right, fetch a basic. Preordain. Makes sense if you're going to play the whale. Yeah, I've had some good openers. No strip mine this time, though. All right, so this time I'd like to go Workshop, Revoker, Mox, Sphere. I'm just going to name Black Lotus. Could name Oko, I guess. I'm just going to name Black Lotus. I could name Sapphire, but I have a Sapphire. So I could name Emerald or something. But I could name Lorien Revealed. It's totally reasonable. Might even be better than naming Black Lotus because they have, 4 Lorien Reveals in their deck. Wasteland? That's my line. Just going to deploy a Nettle Cyst here. No real reason to Crucible yet. Though maybe I could use it as bait. I don't know. Crucible might be better. Yeah, I actually think you're right. I think we should have named Lorien Revealed. All right, there's the tropical island. They did have a Mox, so they can actually play Oko this turn. If they had Oko. All right, I'm going to hit them with the Wasteland pre-combat. See if that makes them do something. Green mana, Nature's Claim. Okay. Makes sense if you can't make it up to Force of Vigor. I mean, they only have 2 cards left. They're just not trading very efficiently at the moment. Our deck is doing some serious work. Only thing we're really missing is like a Saga. What is this? White mana? Swords to Plowshares? That's not too big a deal. Still have another threat. 2 cards left in my opponent's hand now after they draw. Caracas and pass. Lodestone. Wow. Now I have some choices, huh? I think I like Lodestone Equip the most. I didn't even get to Crucible Wasteland you, not me. All right, so their Bean deck did not. I mean, my draw was really strong. I must admit, my draw was quite good. But yeah, Lodestone equip here, and then Wasteland Crucible on the next turn. Nothing was cast. This is what happens when you try to play fair Magic against the power of Workshop. Okay, here we are now. Fourth and final round of this prelim. We are the only 3-0. All the players we beat are 2-1. So congrats to them. We're up against Funky Monkey. Let's see what we can do. Normally a Hogak player. Our hand has a Wasteland, 4 starting mana, Saga, Serpent, Nettlecyst. That's a keeper. No, that's not how this works, but I did say that No Rod Chops is pretty good. All right, so they are on... Wow, my opponent is on Aggrovine as normal, and they put 3 Force of Vigors into their Serum Powder. And a Collector Roof. Normally, I'd be like, oh, all 4 Vigors. All 4 Vigors have been exiled. My opponent has exiled 4 Vigors, so my Urza Saga is not going to get Force of Vigor here. That's fantastic. So is it better to play a Stonecoil Serpent for 4? Or is it better to play a Nettlecyst for Nettlecyst? Nettlecyst is also a 4/4. Yo, welcome, Waterfalls. We're in the 4th and final round of a prelim, currently undefeated, and my opponent has just exiled 4 Force of Vigors. And 2 Besagios. And 2 Collector Roofs. I have no idea if I'm supposed to play a Stonecoil here or a Nettlecyst. My gut instinct says Nettlecyst, but I don't really know. So I'll play around Mindbreak Trap. I'm not really sure. I guess the fact that my Saga tokens are going to make it bigger. I don't have any Saga tokens, unfortunate. So the question here is, I really want to draw. I really want to draw a land, so I don't play this Wasteland. I don't want to show them Wasteland. I feel like I have to play a land though, so I can play Golos if I draw 1 mana. Yeah, I feel like I have to show them Wasteland. Gotta get this thing in play. Gotta grow my Nettlecyst. This is a losable game, for sure. Like, if they just go Bizarre 3 Hollow Ones... But hopefully it's Golos. So they triple Vengevine. Double Hollow One? No, I would hold this Hollow One. I would snap off holding that Hollow One. There's no way I'm casting this. Triple Vine? Then maybe they have a second Bizarre. I mean, I feel like they have second Bizarre, right? But I guess if I don't Wasteland them, they're like 100% to get all their Vines back. But I can't attack. I guess I could suit up this Stonecoil Serpent. If I don't, I have to waste. If I don't waste, they're getting the Vines back for sure. Maybe this is a suit up the Stonecoil and attack moment. We don't have shit, man. We don't have anything. We're an aggro deck that has Goloses in it. I'm just not sure if we were like play a land, play Golos, attack for 5. I'm just not sure we're beating triple. I mean, maybe we are just beating triple Vine. Like, we Golos and get a Saga. Aren't we still winning? I'm not sure. They must have a second one, though. I guess I don't need to do this now. I'm not really convinced that this is correct, but we're going to make the play. I think there's like some viable just play Golos lines, attack for 5. Hmm. Interesting. Well, I guess if they know I have a Wasteland, that's why they played the hollow one out. Jet is a pretty good draw there, though. Well, I think we got very lucky in that one. Can't say that that was anything to do with me. All right, the Wormcoil comes in. The Crucibles might come in. The Lantern, the Needle, the Cages, the Caracas, and the Tabernacle. I think the Thorn, the Null Rods, the Spheres, and a Revoker. No, Revoker's still pretty good against, like... Are they on Death Ray or are they on Hex Drinker, right? Hex Drinker, Bloodghast. 4 Besage, 4 Vigor, 4 Dismember, Chalice, Collect Roof. Well, I was going to board it in if they have a Hogak in their deck. It also bounces our Golos. Haven't decided yet if we're keeping that, though. But I think I am going to. I guess this needs Dismember as well. God, we're only boarding half our deck here. I don't know if I need Dismember, but... Take Mana Crypt out. And take a Revoker out? No, I kind of like being able to name Hex Drinker. Doesn't Chalice beat a lot of decks? I don't know how to answer that question. In terms of what? Yeah, we might not need 3 cages, considering they're only on 4 Vengevine and 3 Bloodghast and probably no Hogaks. That's probably fair. I still think I'm going to bring in Cage, though. I don't think it's bad. It's not great, but I don't think it's bad. Okay. For all the marbles, my opponent... I can't believe they Serum Powdered all of the 4 Vigors away. That's crazy. All right, what do we got? We've got Creatures, Saga, Cage, and Spectre. Damn, they're mulliganing to 6. This is my hand? I really would like a Wasteland. But I think this is probably a keep. Yeah, I understand why you would not like this hand, for sure. I think it has enough going on, though. A Moxen would be pretty interesting to go like Inspector, Soul Ring, Mox, Lodestone, Cage. I think as it stands, if I draw nothing that changes anything, then I'd go Workshop, Soul Ring, Lodestone. Opponent pitched Bazaar, Powder, Yavimaya, played double Hollow one. Sounds like they have another Bazaar, or they just are done Bazaaring. So now I could go Inspector, Soul Ring, Revoker. I don't think that's as good as just going Lodestone. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this hand is like amazing by any means, but I think it's fine. They also can't vigor me immediately, but maybe that exposes my saga, so maybe it's bad. Probably just trading this lodestone for what it's worth. It's just going to alleviate the threat. Bizarre pass. I mean, I'm definitely getting vigored, but at least Patchwork's good against that. I might try to sandbag this saga. I'm gonna sandbag the saga. Oh, actually, I'll name Besiege you over Hex Drinker. Can I? No, it's a land, so I actually can't. All right, I guess I won't do that. I guess I'll name Hex Drinker. All right, your move, opponent. What's your plan now? Vigor? Kill Inspector Cage, maybe? This Automaton was a kind of a nice draw with the way I sequenced my lodestone first and kept all the extra stuff. Yeah, my opponent had Vigor. I just assumed that was the case, which is why I didn't play my Saga. And now I should be actually free to play my Saga. I'm actually really, really happy with how that sequenced out. 2 Besiegers and a Once Upon a Time gone. Never trading here. My Automaton is much more powerful. Needle on Bazaar. Okay. I feel like we've drawn quite well tonight. Maybe I should just Needle Wasteland. Oh, Hex Shrinker. Oh, wow. Equipping here is like terrible, right? Yeah. I do feel like we drew all the best Magic cards, huh? GG's. This deck is just so strong. It's crazy. Wow. All right. I feel like we drew some of the absolute best cards at every circumstance there. Very strong, very strong. This deck is strong, and there's a reason I recommended it. I think No Rod is in a great place right now. I think the average shell is also just pretty powerful. Workshop has always been one of the best things you can do in Vintage, and even though it's on a downturn, it doesn't mean it's down and out. This deck, obviously, like all Vintage decks, so the way I feel right now about Vintage is that every single deck is exploitable. There's no decks in Vintage that don't have super big holes in them. And like obviously this deck is going to get crushed by Hercule's Recall, right? And it's going to be hard to beat Vigor. But it has the high power level that you need to combat those kind of strategies and have a decent chance. And if you're looking for some kind of aggro deck in the format that's not mono white initiative, because I personally don't really enjoy playing mono white initiative, I think this is definitely a nice little option. Yeah, more Vintage content Monday, Wednesday, Friday on this channel. I'll see you then.